One of my favorite stories from my research is the history of anti-fascism in Florida. So the second chapter of my book, and that I learned through, countless years of research, examines the rise of the anti-fascist movement in the community that I write about called Ybor City. So, for those who are unfamiliar, Ybor City is one of the first Cuban immigrant communities in Florida, but those who came between the mid 1880s through the 1950s. So, the history of why people migrated is a bit different than when we're looking at histories of places that we're more familiar with, like Miami. Those who went to Ybor, they were vehemently radical. They were parts of independence movements. They were oftentimes thinking of what does a free Cuba look like? And they envisioned the United States and living in Ybor City as the place where they could do that. So during the 1930s, you have this collision of the Great Depression, which leads to the mass layoff of men from Cuban cigar factories, which was where the majority of these folks worked. And in response, what you see is a rise in women working and also a rise in Latina political action. There was a connection between Latina labor and Latino work, and Latinas as political actors with these compelling voices that could reshape communities. And during the late 1930s, as the Spanish Civil War emerged in Spain, right, this conflict between the Spanish Republic and the rise of Franco's fascist forces, those in Ybor City began to see a link between fascist action at the local level as well as that internationally. And those links were things like anti-labor activism, um, racism and vigilante action that sought to control people within, both control in terms of how their work was done, who was able to get access to an emerging support through the welfare state, and also who was able to speak in support of themselves or even participate in a political system. So there is this ideal part of being a global citizen who is advocating for progressive politics, as well as what does it mean to wish to live in an egalitarian society where one is. And those things come together in such an amazing way. And I remember looking at different documents connected to this movement. And what these women did while they were working in factories is that they gave the pay that they earned for one full days of labor each week to support the anti-fascist cause. They also gave their organizing energies and collectively mobilized where they protest to the tune of 5 to 7,000 people who marched from their community to the center of the city of Tampa, where they made demands of both the mayor and of the president that they wanted him to pass on to FDR during this period. But there is just this collision of these international figures like Luisa Moreno, who is there, and who is a part of this organizing group. She's best known for her work in California, but she becomes the organizer who she is during this movement. You also see Latinas who are laboring, who become these political actors and who begin to develop these political voices. And what I began to see was that this moment was not only important because of the global anti-fascist fight, but was important because it was the first time that people from the community became US political actors. And it's a part of a long trajectory of how a Latina and Latino Democratic Party political contingent emerged out of Tampa and became rather powerful by mid-century.